lovely to see everyone. Well done for making it again. I keep saying that. We just spent the weekend with a really awesome group of people sort of talking about teaching meditation and sharing it. And one of the things that we talked a lot about was motivation and like actually maintaining your practice, and how it's such an easy thing to drop. And then the problem with meditation is every time you drop it, you have to pretty much start back near to zero again, because the effects aren't necessarily stored away. You know, there's a degree of that, but if you drop it for more than a week or two, then it's a real trick to try and pick it up, and you have to make a decision to start again. You know, that's the problem. So although it can seem challenging, we thought of all the other things that, you know, might be better to do, or people think are better to do, like get more sleep, or you know, I'm too stressed. What I'll do is, instead of doing meditation, I'll get some things off of my to-do list, and then I'll feel happier. That's our normal strategy. Like, I've got all these things stressing me out. What I'll do is I'll work through a load of those, and then I won't feel so stressed. And all that happens is we just end up with another load of things on our to-do list that replaces those ones, and we never work our way down it. Other reasons were, I feel fine. I feel totally fine. I'm really happy at the moment. I'm pretty chilled. I don't need to practice my meditation. So that was a sneaky one, because that's another one that will stop us. There are so many reasons. But what we also talked about was that how hard it can be sometimes to see progress in this sort of practice, because it's not like playing tennis or you know, running or playing piano or something. You can't necessarily measure the progress you're making, and you probably don't even notice the progress you're making. But good signs of progress are that you keep doing it. That's probably the best sign. If you keep turning up for it, then that is an amazing sign of progress. And the other signs will be seen in your day. Like, you'll probably notice that you're just a little bit less reactive, or maybe you can empathize with someone else's point of view where normally you would turn around and snap at them, but maybe you're just able to take one step back and allow there to be a little bit of space between you and a situation, or you and a person who seems to be annoying. Or maybe you're able to be still for 5 minutes in the day. You know, gets to the evening, you finish work and everything, and rather than just flop down on the sofa and turn on Netflix or listen to a podcast or read a book, you're actually able just to sit on the sofa and do nothing for 5 minutes. Like that, doing nothing, just being still, is actually really, really difficult for most people. So yeah, it can be worth in your day just noting how things might have shifted a little bit and you hadn't really seen that had happened. But just thought I'd drop that in and hope to keep you motivated for the rest of the month. But yeah, let's dive into practice. We're going to go back to the body and explore the boundary of the body today. So sort of a meditation on close focus and mindfulness, and also exploring sort of space that we can't really put our finger on. But anyway, better to just do it than for me to try and explain it. So make sure you're comfy as ever, make sure you're warm, make sure you've got everything you need. I'm going to just also review, as we go through it, the 4 wheels of the chariot, which are really important and useful. Explain those as we go. First thing is just to find an anchor or something for you to settle your focus on. Might be your breathing. Might be your computer humming. Might be any tension in your body. It doesn't matter what it is, just find something to settle your attention on. And we're going to use that to keep us steady. And you might find you've wandered already. And remember, we're not trying to stop thoughts. That's impossible and pointless. But however much we practice, it can still be a trap to imagine that we're trying to stop thoughts. Remembering that's not our purpose here, and never has been. Thoughts are welcome. Sounds are welcome. Feelings are welcome. But we are practicing not chasing or getting tangled up in any of those things. That's our practice. So at this point you feel a degree of effort. We notice that we have to keep pulling our attention back to the point of our focus. And before we realize it, it's wandered away again. And over and again, we just bring it gently back. So there will be a lot of effort, but we also want to balance that with some softening. So there should be equal effort and equal letting go into the practice. That would be the second wheel of the chariot. You're just letting go. It's not all about willpower. Start to notice your physical body, maybe from the inside out. You'll be drawn to places that are sending out stronger signals, maybe an ache somewhere, or a tingling of a headache, or a tummy ache, or pain in your bum. You can notice those stronger sensations. Notice if there's an immediate tendency to label them as good or bad, as wanted or unwanted. This is our failure to just let things be. If you were a Buddhist, you'd say this was the root of our suffering. We can't allow things to be as they are. We constantly want them to be different. And that causes a mass of problems. The fact of the matter is, everything is as it is right now. Whether you struggle with that or you just allow that is your choice. there can be a real sense of relief in that. But we don't have to control everything. I don't have to control how my body feels. I don't have to be in charge of how the day unfolds. I'm just a part of it. So that might just help with this feeling of softening or relaxing into the practice. In that really, we don't have to do all that much at all. Just to be in the practice is more than enough. And start to notice that there are far more sensations than those obvious ones. There's actually a massive range and kaleidoscope of feelings going on deep inside the tummy, all the way out to the surface of the skin. And those sensations might come in waves. Sometimes it feels as if the entire body is just glowing or humming. And it can be an absolutely fascinating observation. Whereas we just focused on these one or two experiences or sensations that we didn't want, that weren't welcome, that we were pushing away. And with all of that effort, we were completely missing the richness of our experience. All we had to do was let go. Stop controlling. So rest in that open field of awareness. All sensations coming and going. It's our nature to become distracted, to wander off into thinking. And when we notice that happen, we extend the third wheel of the chariot to ourselves, which is kindness and compassion. We don't judge ourselves for wandering off. It's just our habit pattern, just our habit energy. We just dust ourselves off and relax back into the practice. There's a letting go and softening again. So oftentimes it can feel like we're shutting off thoughts when we find that we've been distracted, that we're closing something down. But all that's happened is that we've already closed down and become restricted or imprisoned inside our mind when that happens. So what we really need to do is open back up. Open the doors and the windows of your awareness or experience and allow everything back in again. We go from a very narrow to a very broad and open way of living. Now feel right out to the boundary of your body. To the surface layer of your skin. There will be contact with so many other materials, your clothes, the ground underneath you or the chair, the air around your face. There seems to be a very finite boundary where we imagine we're contained. Just notice that boundary of your skin in as open a way as you can. Where the skin meets air, where the skin meets clothing, where it meets the ground or the bed or chair. And where it meets other parts of the body or other parts of the skin. Again, let your observation of that boundary be as open as possible. Try not to label skin of the hand, skin of the leg, skin of the bum, skin of the face. That's not what you're experiencing right now. That's just mental storytelling or imagination. As creating a different reality to what you're actually experiencing. So simply come back to your experience of the boundary of your body. There will be areas that feel tingly and alive, buzzing or humming, There'll be areas that feel as if there's no sensation there at all. We don't notice. And there will be everything in between. Be completely open and receptive to whatever you're experiencing without filtering that experience, without sorting it, labeling it. This lovely idea, all guests are welcome in my house, in the house of my experience. Now we restrict ourselves within the boundary of that skin, making a tiny, limited version of ourselves. But our experience is that we know beyond that boundary. We're not limited to the pains and the pleasures contained within the shell of our body. We just allow ourselves to become trapped there. So see if you can allow your experience or knowing or awareness to shift slowly outwards from your skin into the space around your body and underneath it. Space behind your body, behind your head, just feeling the presence of that empty space there. Feeling the presence of empty space above your head, in front and to the sides. And allowing that knowing awareness of open, empty spaciousness to expand slowly around your entire body. As that small self starts to dissolve. And that space that you can expand out to is limitless. Space expands to infinity. There's just objects within it. Whether those objects are tiny, like us, or whether those objects are much larger, like the entire planet. Essentially, there are just objects in space, in endless open space. And rather than feeling isolated as one tiny object amongst many, the spaciousness reminds us that we're connected to absolutely everything. The same space surrounds us as surrounds the planet. And surrounds every other person. Now just slowly let that awareness come back. You can bring that feeling of not being separate and alone with you. That feeling of being connected can return with you back into the body as you notice the breath again. All of a sudden the breath reappears, been working away on your behalf in the background the whole time. Starts to fill your body, and you start to notice parts of the body again. Legs and arms, head, hands and feet. Maybe parts touching other parts. As gradually some movement just returns to your limbs. Taking whatever you might need as a stretch, or rubbing your face or your hands. And as we gently allow our eyes to open and we just round the practice off, we just finish with the last wheel of the chariot, which is expecting and accepting that anything can happen when we practice. There's a lot of expectation, but we should always be with the practice with the expectation anything could unfold, and it probably will. So those four wheels were effort, some effort, letting go, we need to let go, being kind to ourselves, and having the expectation that anything might unfold, not waiting for something in particular. They should all help us in the practice. I really hope that was useful for you in some way. I will never know.